Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers the commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen from Gun Guy Radio, and you make this show possible. That's right, you. Simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. And we have our all-star cast returning once again. Natalie Foster from Girls Guide to Guns. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, I'm just really happy to be part of an all-star something.
Okay, I thought.
I mean, that's all. That's all. I'm just,
That's it?
That's it? Okay.
That's it. Hi, Jake. How are you? How was your week?
Busy, tired. I think we're all ready to go to bed, but we're marching on. Josh Cast, otherwise known as Whitey of Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Jake. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And also John Cass, firing connoisseur over at I'm With Chaos YouTube channel.
Hi, Jake. How are you?
See, you're trying to trip me up with those big words.
I was trying to trip you up. It's fun to mess with you as much as I possibly can in that particular segment. Everything else, I let you do your thing. That's my place to tease you.
It's always the little things that get me.
The unexpected stuff, right?
Right. So let's get right into the top stories this week. Civil rights victory in federal court. Now this involves FFLs and transfer of handguns, or selling handguns across state lines. And a federal judge has apparently struck down the law relating to being able to purchase a handgun. Like I'm in Illinois here, I cannot purchase drive over Wisconsin and purchase a handgun and drive back. Now, does this make that legal now? Anyone know? John, you worked at a gun store.
I don't know if that's what the case is now. I believe that's what they're insinuating. I'm not sure if it's been put into law at this point, but currently, well, we should say previously, you could not cross state borders and go buy a handgun. You had to get it transferred back to your home state through an FFL to FFL transfer. And now, according to this, you may be able to go across state lines and purchase a handgun in another state, just like you can with a long gun. Now, obviously, state laws are different all around the country. So, if you're like, oh, it's not like that here, forgive me because I can't keep everybody's laws in my head. However, in the majority of America, you can cross state borders, buy a long gun, and now potentially a handgun, which is awesome. That's a step in the right direction of freedom.
I wonder how this will affect waiting periods, because here in Illinois, I have a 3-day waiting period for handguns. I think essentially what this is saying, I could order it online from another FFL, and it wouldn't have to come to my FFL, but it maybe could come to me directly.
Good question. Yeah, because in California it's 10. I know, unless and then of course in Texas, I believe it's 10 as well, unless you have a concealed carry license and you can get it immediately, right? So then, do the concealed carry licenses make a difference too with the waiting periods? And then, this reciprocity law that they're working on right now, that's going to be a big factor there probably too. These are all going to work together, hopefully. They'll get coordinated.
That's one perk I wish I had in Illinois, having no waiting period with a CCW, which we do not. We still have to wait.
Oh, really?
But it would make sense. I already have a gun on my hip. Why do I have to wait 3 days for another one?
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to stick it to you every way they can. You're a legal, law-abiding person going through a background check. You should wait 3 days because you might go on a murderous rampage, right? Is that that happens, right? No,
that's what's happening in Chicago every day. We see it, right?
It's a cool down period.
Yeah, cool down period. 10 days.
Every time you buy a gun, it's because you're angry. So therefore, you should have to wait.
Right. It's like when that Simpsons episode where Homer goes to buy a gun and they tell him there's a waiting period, and he's like, I'm angry now.
Yeah. That was me being facetious for all those listeners out there that think I was serious. Anywho.
All right, so any final thoughts on this court ruling?
I think
step in the right direction. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I mean, as he notes in that in the article, I mean, it's also going to take a little while for the FFLs to catch up too, right? I mean, that usually takes at least a few months. I mean, that was a big deal too with the in Illinois, right? When concealed carry was finally granted. Didn't it take? I mean, Jake, you would know. Didn't it take forever for the FFLs to get on the boat?
For what now?
Just for the concealed carry to actually be implemented, and for I don't know, people to care. I don't know.
Speaking about FFLs, I think something to note is that I've worked at a few shops here in Pennsylvania, and I've seen the way a bunch of other shops run in other parts of the country, and the most interesting thing about it is that not a single one of them operates their paperwork the same way. That's something to consider, that none of them, there's supposed to be a way to do this, but somehow every different gun shop in my experience has done it a different way. And my question to the owners of these shops is, why is there not a consistent way to do this? Why are you doing something differently? Why are you being left to interpret law as a store owner, and the ATF just going, well, figure it out, and hopefully we don't screw you over later? What? What?
But that's the thing. Even different ATF agents interpret law differently. I mean, look at the freaking TSA. Like, every time you go to a different airport, the laws are interpreted differently. You can buy, you can buy the speed pass. What is it called? Pre-check, and it doesn't apply at every airport. I mean, it's that's just the problem with any regulation, right?
Are ATF agents considered police?
I don't think so. Anybody know?
I don't know where they fall, because the ATF doesn't fit into our normal system of checks and balances, so they kind of just do whatever they feel like, which I don't know how I feel about that. But it's very interesting. I just thought that was an important note, that everybody does things differently, and like we were saying about this particular issue being disseminated through the ranks, so to speak, it's going to take some time, and you're going to hear a lot of different stories, and that goes back to why you never really trust the information that you hear at your gun store without checking multiple sources, because this is just interpretation of people that are just like you and I. They're not there to interpret law. They're just spewing misinformation a lot of times.
I know a guy who travels, all over the country quite a bit, and in order to take his guns and transport them correctly, I mean, he is very, very by the book, and he literally travels with the printed out, the legislation, he and has it highlighted and everything, just in case he gets pulled over. And I wonder if that's, especially in the beginning, a good policy for people who are interested in this kind of thing. Take it with you, show them the new law, show them the ruling. I don't know if that'll be particularly persuasive to some individuals, but it's worth a shot.
So we had some breaking news this week about the Remington. They apparently have killed the Pera USA brand. They acquired Pera several years ago. It was originally a Canadian company, and they moved it down to, South Carolina or Georgia? Somewhere.
It's Alabama, I think. Huntsville.
Alabama. It's all the same. It's the South. Here comes the hate mail. But Remington, has killed this, pretty established, well-known company in the firearms industry. He's killed the entire brand off by, this report here on Truth About Guns. And so, I don't know, apparently they're going to roll it under, the guns are producing under the Pera name. They're going to maybe start producing them under the Remington name instead. So I guess are they thinking the Remington name is that much stronger than the Pera name? Because I'm not seeing that.
Why don't we talk about the R51 for another half an hour and talk about how strong the Remington name is right now and the most massive firearms recall in history. Let's talk about how strong the Remington name is with that. And let's also talk about how Freedom Group has ruined many, many companies to date. AAC is now a shell of what it once was. I mean, they are destroying firearms companies one by one. DPMS, junk. Absolute junk. And now Pera, which used to be a really good quality, kind of mid-level 1911, entry-level even, they were kind of famous. We were talking about this, Whitey and our buddy Ebbs, we were talking about this earlier in the week. And Pera used to be cool. They had a couple double stack, what would be called the 2011, and they were good price point guns. The coatings came off on the guns, but whatever. They ran really, really well, and at the time they were good price points. But since Remington took them over, you haven't heard anything from that company. They just, like they've done with AAC and DPMS, they've run them into the ground. Way to go.
And how painful was that press release? Anybody else? Do you really want to run with a mea culpa in a press release? I don't know.
And the funny thing is that I was looking at it, and then I looked at it again, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then Jake started talking, and the way he was going about how he said it, I was like, holy crap. And I looked one more time, and if anyone wants to see how to properly kind of dull the blow and make you think, oh, it's not that bad, this is a handcrafted masterpiece of a press release. They bring you right down the rabbit hole, and they say, hey, here's who we are, here's what we do, and here's how great we are in a fixture in American society, and you know what? We've screwed up. We screwed up here, we screwed there. Admittedly, man, we blew it. We're not going to blow it all the way with this one, though, because we're going to relocate operations, and we're going to roll in a bunch of those great features that Pera brought, and we're just going to do it our way with our name, and we're just going to kill off Pera quietly. So they bring you down this path of, we're great because we're American fixture, and we screwed up. Here's how great this move, timestamp, is going to be. It's early. It's early for that one, Natalie. I'm sorry.
There are children listening.
This is a fantastic press release. It really is. This is corporate America at its finest. I guarantee you at least 3 people on legal, 2 on copyright, and they are the ones that had to look at it after somebody said, here's what we should say. So Pera, in my opinion, whatever. I know there's a cult following. At the end of the day, it was a cast pistol. It was not forged, and it was not like a really great thing. It was affordable, cool. They had great roots in competition simply because it was a very affordable 1911. That was one of the first double stacks. I personally never was, and I like 1911s. I think they're a gorgeous looking pistol. I think it's a great piece of American history. But it just never did it for me. I mean, there's a frame hanging above my workbench, and it's a Pera frame. And it was a single stack because I didn't really care for the double stack. So it sucks that a Canadian-based company is now destroyed by Freedom Group, but I'm not losing any sleep over this one. Sorry.
I can remember back to when they acquired Pera Group, and there was a lot of people upset at that time about the fact that Freedom Group was taking it over, and they, at that time they were saying it's going to go downhill from here. And well, it went really downhill if you look, forward to today, where they killed the brand completely.
What about how do you guys feel about the R1 1911 that Remington had come out with prior? Was that just a rebranded Pera? Do we know?
I don't know.
I don't know the timing. It's quite possible that was after they had acquired Pera, and that was part of.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're
is
right.
it forged, or is it machined, or is it cast?
I don't know that answer.
Because that was the biggest thing that people used to gripe about with the Pera ordinance, was that their slides were cast. So the breaks you would see on that were like halfway down the barrel, the slide would just break off.
Whoa.
You know, it's like.
Well, they talk about machining it in that press release, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, that's like saying you
But it could be
machine a
machining.
forged, AR lower. You're using a machine to actually true it up and take it down, but it's still the way in which that metal forms. Now, the 1911, it's, for one, a big round. It's a lot of metal to move around, and it doesn't exactly cycle in a smooth fashion. It is back and it is forward, and it is hitting metal on metal, and it is hard. So when you do something that's cast, I'm no metallurgist, I'm no scientist, but I know how many things I have broken that were metal that were cast, and you see like that spongy kind of concrete-esque kind of inside, and you're like, well, this doesn't look good, versus when you snap anything that's a forged metal, and it's a sharp, clean, something was wrong here in line, it still is solid and dense inside. So that alone, when it comes to building materials, is why I was like, yeah, whatever. So I'm curious if the R1, how that is manufactured, because maybe the design, or maybe the CAD files, or maybe things like that help to shape that metal, maybe taken from Pera. Maybe it's Remington's own design. They have been doing it since World War I, as we saw in the press release. But
I mean, let's be honest. It's in 1911. There's only so many ways you can do it.
Well, yeah, and I'm looking through a thread here, and it looks like, I don't know. Some people are saying they offer the R1 in both a cast and a forged.
So there versions. You go. And the cast is cheaper, correct?
Well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it goes on to say, Colt Commanders back in the day were cast, and some of them were even cast aluminum. So,
how far back in the day are we talking? Like Wednesday or Tuesday? Because I mean, look at it this way: like saying things like that validates a lot of statements. However, when you say that and you put a date to it, like during wartime when kids are collecting spare pots to melt down for weapons to fight Jerry, that's using that as an argument towards like a 2007 1911 or a 1995 1911 is not the same thing. You're making weapons because you have to with resources you have available versus making something a certain way because it's cheaper.
Okay.
Fair point. Now, there's a line at the end of this article that says, it makes you wonder what other brands will be on the chopping block next. DFMS, TAPCO, AAC, and this harkens back to something that we have talked about many, many times here on this show. The giants are falling. Let's watch them and give them a push. Get these horrible companies out of the way and let some new blood into the top of the industry. There are so many good companies making really high quality stuff, and there's so many big companies just falling all over themselves. I want to see them go. Goodbye, Remington. You're done.
Well,
who's next?
Right. I think this just shows how disconnected Remington or Freedom Group, whoever pulled the trigger on this, they're thinking this is a smart business move. Put in the Remington brand on all these Paragons from now on is a smart move. But when the average guys and gals like us, we're looking at this and we're like, the Remington name isn't what it used to be. So,
you know what? It's just you guys. It's the in the know dudes that actually are keeping up with this stuff on a day-to-day basis. The truth about gun readers, that the guns.com readers, that kind of thing. I think people do. I mean, I understand why Chaos feels the way he does. Not to invalidate that, but I do think there's something to the great American institutions. I wish that they would be a little more innovative, for sure. And I think some of them are really trying, but I don't know, push them over the cliff. I'm not ready for that. I'm not. I think there's a lot of value there, I
understand. I mean, it's fair. They're huge companies. They're a part of the biggest small industry in the U.S. I mean, let's be fair. That is probably the most American industry out there. The firearms industry is.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
We all agree on that. But I mean, in my opinion, to let this company just kind of flounder and just be awful, I would rather see him just go. Just close the doors, let somebody else come in. I mean, what's it's going to take to make Remington what Remington used to be and what everybody wants Remington to be? I mean, what you did make a great point there, that the guys that think Remington suck now are the people that care. If you ask the public, they think of Remington in the history, this huge grander scheme than what we're looking at. That's 100% true. I mean, we used to hear that all the time in the gun store. People get an idea from when their father was into guns, and they latch on to that. But what's gonna need to happen in order for Remington to change is Freedom Group is gonna need to sell that company back to the people that used to own it, or somebody else. I mean, I don't know who's gonna buy it, but if Freedom Group pulls out of the firearms industry, the whole company will change. The game will change again, and it'll be a wonderful thing.
Well, and see, I think that's a really important piece because, this company is it's a really important player, in the fabric of America, right? I mean, you got to think about these people that have worked there for generations upon generations. I mean, just like Beretta or Smith or, any of the Colt, whatever. I mean, obviously, some of those are having their issues. But, I think, I mean, what you're saying is they need new management. That's what you're saying. And I think that the history of the company is worth saving. I do, and I don't know enough about Freedom Group other than your assessment of it. And I mean I've heard others that have a similar view. Actually a lot of people after Newtown thought Freedom Group wasn't even going to last a year. You remember? I mean that was the word on the street, and so that survived 2 years now is interesting, but. I mean, if they need new management, all right. But I think it's still a really important company with, that provides a lot of jobs and has a really important place in the American timeline.
Well, I agree. I agree. They need new management. They need more than that, though. They need leadership. It doesn't seem like they have a strong leadership team or anything like that. And I go one step farther. I think they need leadership that are they're shooters. I mean, they're real gun enthusiasts, not just businessmen. Guys that really get out on the range, they really dive into other products from other companies, or they're gun enthusiasts. They love this stuff, but they also have great business knowledge. That's the kind of leadership these big companies need. And we're kind of seeing that with Rock Island Armory. I mean, Martin runs that company. I mean, he's a gun enthusiast. He's a real gun guy, and he's really in the last few years, added a lot to their product catalog, and with Arms Corp brought a lot of new ammunition manufacturing to the U.S. and stuff, and done some really cool stuff. So that'd be something cool to see Freedom Group do as a whole with all their brands to get the right leadership in place.
Well, I think that's an incredibly important point because it really does set the tone for the entire industry. A company this big has the ability, the capability of setting the tone for the entire industry, and I think you're right. I think a few tweaks, not necessarily being pushed off a cliff. I mean, major tweaks. This is some serious surgery, But I do think it's salvageable, and I think it should be done. I mean, are they listening to us? Probably not. But it's people care. I think it's an important company.
I think my biggest problem with everybody latching on to like the idea that you have, you're not alone in that like, hey, I want to see them stick around kind of idea, but I think that it almost is too similar to the banks. Oh, they're too big to fail. Let's support them until they just ruin everything. I would much rather somebody.
I'm not talking a government bailout here, John. Don't worry.
I mean, no, but I get it. I get what you're saying, though. Your point is like too big to fail, right? Like thinking that they've got. They've got it all together and they can do no wrong. Like as opposed to banks, like an Enron situation or something, right? I mean, it can hurt a lot of people too.
Right.
So.
Right, and keeping jobs and all that is extremely important. But I think what Jake said is probably the best statement that anybody has said here tonight. Is they need new leadership, and that's a fantastic statement. They don't just need new management. They don't just need a company to sell them or anything like that. They need somebody to kind of reinvigorate the brand.
Right, to bring them a new, renewed vision for the company and the brands.
Yeah. Well said.
All right, Remington, you listening?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, here's exactly what's happening, though. I think everyone is right on everything they've said. I think the part we're missing here is that these are being run like businesses. And as much as we all love nostalgia and we long for a better time and we don't want to see companies fail, at the end of the day, it's a business. And the people, as nostalgic as they may be and longing for, Dad's shotgun and the brand and all that, they are voting with their wallets. And that is saying to business that this is no longer viable. And things are dying off. So if we don't want to see companies die off, then we need to buy. Are we going to buy crap? Are you going to spend money on crap?
No.
Right. So do we want to see them fail? No. Is the Freedom Group going to let them die? Yes. And that's the thing, is that it's going to take a wake-up call of that magnitude, of like a Colt, of a Smith & Wesson, not that they're in any danger at all to get anybody in a panic.
No.
It's going to take some sort of massive movement to be like, well, what are we doing here? And for people to actually start really petitioning, so to speak, these companies to say, hey, you're screwing up and we don't like it. We do it with every other aspect of the firearms industry. It's a business unlike any other that I've encountered, whether it be media, whether it be actual products, whether it be retail. Firearms is done completely different in this country than anything else in United States commerce. And the moment we start hybridizing, I guess, if that's even a word, that corporate America, like
it is now.
Even the NRA, to be blatant, that corporatization of it all, and here's where the bean counters go, and even the NRA is still a little bit loose, fast and loose sometimes, like a lot of the smaller companies, where it's like, let's do this, and it's going to drive this, and it's going to be great at this, and then the moment funds get depleted from a completely different division, it's like, well, we're going to shut this down and move all that funds over to here because we need to keep this afloat to be able to afford to do things like this again. So it's all very convoluted, and until the actual consumer, which has a voice, like in this industry, oddly enough, versus Apple, people could piss and moan to the wind about how big the iPhone screen should be versus everything else, and it took 9 versions before Apple was like, all right, we'll give you a bigger screen. So I mean, we can take that consumer speak to the firearms world, and it gets up the chain a lot faster when you're talking to a Colt, to a Smith & Wesson, to all these other companies. And that's what it's going to take, because right now we're voting with our wallets, just like we do with everything else in our lives, and we can't be upset when something big fails.
Side note, I will be excited when I see Colt go under. They haven't made anything good in 100 years.
John, I never want to be with you in case of a bear attack or something, because you'll just be shoving me into the ground and
survival
running away.
of the fittest. I'm number one. Get out of the way.
Well, let's talk about Illinois again here, because there have been some new legislation introduced to allow gun owners to use silencers here in Illinois.
Good news!
I know, that's so great.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is absolutely amazing. The pit of horrible gun legislature is now considering letting people use silencers. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. This is, so the guy that got me into guns, officially, I grew up with guns in the house and all that. The guy that really sparked my passion for firearms lives right outside of the city of Chicago. He's been a friend of mine for many years, and that man has been so jealous of me because I can shoot machine guns and suppressors and all that kind of stuff out here, and now he's going to be able to do it, and hopefully you guys will be able to hunt with them on top of that. I don't want to see it just, you can own. I want to see you guys be able to use them for hunting. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
But we should take into account that Mark Walsh of the Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence says that thousands die annually in this state from gunshots, and allowing silencers is a bad policy.
I didn't get, this kills me, because he didn't back it up at all, right? There's no logic. Right. I mean, I was literally reading this thing going, okay, but why? Okay, but why? Because, he doesn't explain it at all. He doesn't say why all of a sudden, I mean, it's so California. Oh, good Lord. It's it's like, or a magazine that's more than 10 rounds, or a, the bullet the bullet button, the ejection button on an AR. I mean, how we have to, if you don't know, in California we have to have a modified, what they call a bullet button. You've got to, essentially what it is a little, it's the ejection button for a mag. It's the release, the mag release, but it's modified so that you have to put a key in it, which can also be like the tip of a .223 bullet. Good Lord, it's just absolutely ridiculous, and actually it hurts people. I mean, it's a problem for safety. In fact, when I had a gun made in Louisiana, they put the bullet button on there for me, and they said, this is a problem, like this is unsafe, and I agree. And I mean, same thing with silencers, suppressors for the technical folks out there. Suppressors are a great thing, I have tinnitus. I wish I could shoot with the suppressor all the time, So I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I thought I was like, okay, just waiting for the punchline. Like, why is it bad?
I think it's a mistake to trust somebody that is part of a group called Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence, where this guy got quoted. Yeah, he's significant. Let's do that. Let's listen to this guy. Yeah, that's a good guy to listen to.
So what's really exciting is I think we have a governor, knock on wood, that may actually sign legislation like this. So we haven't had that for years. We shall see, though.
I feel like this is what happens when they're like, you know what? You want your guns? Here, have your stupid guns. You can have your guns. You want suppressors? Here, not going to hear your gunshots anymore. You kill each other. Like, that's what I feel like this legislation is that they're giving up so hard that they're like expecting us to fail. That's how hard they're giving up. It's fine, whatever. Here, I didn't want suppressor. You want full auto? Here, go. Be nuts. Just make sure you use your suppressor so I'm not going to hear you killing each other with full auto.
I just noticed something very interesting about the wording in this article. Now, I don't know if this is just the way this guy chose to write this article, or if he's being very specific. So this is talking about the use of silencers, not the ownership.
Ah, interesting.
So potentially, if this is gospel, potentially you could be able to use one but not own one. I don't know if that's going to change. Jake, have you heard any other rumblings besides this article about this?
I really haven't had time to delve into it any deeper, but it seems like the guys that Brandon Phelps, who is actually a Democrat, who introduced this bill, it seems like he's on the right mindset here. So, because if you look to the bnd.com article that this originates from, they talk about the prohibition of silencers and everything, and about how they're trying to move Illinois into the 21st century like they did with concealed carry. So this guy seems like he's a very, very good advocate for us.
The guns.com article has a lot more detail, including a quote from Brandon Phelps that says, there are a lot of veterans, a lot of hunters and shooters who have suffered hearing loss, meaning he's genuinely seems concerned about moving in that direction and understanding what the benefits of a suppressor actually are. I mean, that. Yeah. First of all, the fact that he's a Democrat and saying that is mind-blowing. But this is fantastic.
Well, it gets better. He even talks about hunting coyotes with them, and he's also quoted here saying that you have mufflers on cars and trucks. That's the same thing as a suppressor. It's just a muffler.
Wow. Can we get all the rest of the Democrats in the U.S. to listen to this guy?
Absolutely.
I do think Chaos's point, though, about use but not own, that's totally something that, a tricky legislature like Illinois would pull. Like, yeah, you can use it, but wait, can we own it? Ha, gotcha! I mean, it just feels like something that they would totally pull.
Yeah. We shall see.
Yep. So, Black Panther leader trains with police and has a change of heart.
Oh my gosh, this is my favorite piece that you assigned us today.
You want to take it away, Natalie?
I just love it. I think it was so great that this guy was so, first of all, you got to give him props for just being willing to go out there and do it and to show the community, look, all right, they've invited me, fine. I'm going to do it. And it wasn't, I mean, he didn't even seem spiteful or anything about it. He seemed like he was genuinely trying to reach across and talk to the cops and walk a mile in their shoes. And I mean, those simunition drills are intense. And he knows that that's not the real deal, but these are scenarios that these guys go through. And man, after all the BS that we have seen between Ferguson and New York, and I'm not saying the cops were always in the right. I'm not saying that they were in the wrong, but I am saying that the relations between, specifically the black community and the folks walking the thin blue line are, they're worse than I've ever seen them in my lifetime. And so for this guy to do that in this climate right now, I think is really ballsy. And I got to give it to him. I think that's really important and impressive. And I think, what he communicated to the black community in Houston, what he said at the end there, which was basically, listen to them, guys. Just listen, respect them. And that's the biggest piece, right? The disrespect. I don't know. I mean, obviously there are a lot of components to this whole very, very complicated situation, but I was really, really happy to see this, and I wish it would go viral.
And the funny thing is that I think this is the second time this has been done.
Oh, really?
There was another one before where there's a reporter that did it along with another activist, and it had the same results. It's, they put people in these situations. Sometimes you'd be at threat, sometimes you wouldn't. And I think in the last one they actually showcased that someone wasn't armed, and the person, going through the, like you said, walking their shoes, shot him. And they're like, because they built it up, so it's like, right. They, drew on the first one and they exchanged fire, but they died. They exchanged, on the second one, and he got the better of them, so to speak, or he died. So now he's died twice. Third scenario, now he's panicking, so to speak. Like, am I gonna get shot again? And anyone who's been shot with a simulation knows, body armor or not, those things suck. Man. They suck.
Tell everybody at home how you know that, Whitey.
Oh, I still have a small red spot. I don't know if you can actually see it on the camera real quick from...
Oh, gosh.
Oh, too much skin, too much. I can't.
Natalie, how dare you?
How dare you? Like,
and that was SHOT Show. That was Media Day at the Range. That was Monday, January 20th.
11th.
Now 11th. Wait, no.
21st.
Oh, today's the 11th. Sorry.
No, today's the 12th.
Today's
God,
the 12th. I don't know, man.
I
told you I was tired. I was tired. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the first activist that you're referring to, I believe, is Reverend Jarrett Maplin from Arizona, I think. And the bottom of this article actually links to that one, and the title to it is "Police Critic Shoots First and Asks Questions Later."
The only thing that would be better than this is making Kanye West understand what musicians are.
I don't know that that's possible.
Oh
he still doesn't understand fish sticks.
How do they catch fish in a square shape?
Oh my gosh, is that seriously a thing?
No, I'm totally just making that up right now.
The thing I'm talking about is a South Park joke, but...
Oh.
Moving on.
If you had given me a Gilmore Girls reference, I would have gotten it.
I'm sorry, I'm not a 40-year-old house mom.
Girls encyclopedia next to me, so...
40-year-old house mom? Hey, neither am I.
Yeah, well, apparently you're watching the TV like it.
I'm also not a 14-year-old boy watching The Simpsons and South Park. And
but somehow you knew the reference.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And I'm also not sucking on a lollipop.
Delicious.
During an interview.
But Natalie, he has a completely sensitive man candle behind him.
Thank you. Somebody understands me.
Right next to the feather and the ready-to-go ice cube.
Next time on Private Nights with John Chaos.
How you doing?
This is how things go sideways, Jake. Grab the reins.
I'm moving ahead. Colt Factory to become a national park.
There you go.
Yes, I think that's great. I think it's really sad that building has been abandoned. I don't even know the history there, but I think it is good that I was shocked that Obama signed it in to the National Park / Monument Service. I think it's great. I can't wait to go.
Like the Winchester House.
Yeah, in California. Yeah, but that's just like That's just a creepy ghost story museum now.
I know, but I want to go there because they have like all these little secret passages, like Webster.
Oh my gosh, you're criticizing my viewing choices?
You're barking up the wrong tree, tired lady.
So back to the Colt factory. So apparently it's been vacant since 1994, and it included armories, buildings for worker housing, and here's the word that's going to trip me up.
There you go. Let's walk you through it. Go ahead.
Okay. A church. I'll just say.
Oh, boo! It's Episcopal.
That Elizabeth Colt commissioned in her husband's honor following his death. And if you look at the pictures here, the church has like this big white and blue dome with a gold ornament and cross on top. It looks really out of place in the middle of this factory, set of buildings and everything. But it says inside the church it features revolver parts carved into sandstone and a giant stained glass rendering of Samuel Colt in flowing robes like a prophet.
I think that's hilarious. I want to be commemorated this way. Can you like pay for a spot in the stained glass? Because this is awesome.
This whole building is terrible.
Is it?
Listen, so whenever you look at pictures of Connecticut, do a quick Google search. Just honestly, Google Images, Connecticut. What are you going to see? You're going to see coastline, you're going to see pretty trees, some fall foliage, maybe like kayaking and hiking. Woo! But you are not going to see a single skyline like the city of New Haven, Bridgeport, Hartford, because they're all awful. And all this is, it looks like the one communist building in all of Hartford. So they should just put the dome in the national park and say, boom, it's the Colt Museum section, and just demolish and put these bricks to good use, like making pretty paveways and all their landscaping for all people that work in New York, where they know how to have a city. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
What is with you guys destroying all this American history? That is not cool.
Just flush it down the toilet.
No, it is not cool, man.
How's that go with the blood of tyrants and yada yada? Refresh it.
There you go.
Well, excuse me, but I'm in the Daughters of the American Revolution. Thank you, and we preserve things like this. So proudly, by the way.
It is a terribly ugly building.
Maybe I am a 40-year-old housewife.
They could make this awesome. It could be like the NRA type museum of the North. I mean, if it was done right, this could be really, really cool to commemorate something as old as Colt firearms. I mean, they go so far back, and this would be really cool if done correctly. However, let's be honest, it's in Connecticut, and the government is in control. It's going to be awful, and I think Josh is right.
Hartford is awful. It's a terrible city. The Brickyard is like the best bar, and at least it was. I don't know.
Vermont.
The crime rate's awful too, isn't it? Like awful.
Well, because it's Connecticut, and gun control is paramount.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Vermont. Ready, go.
No.
I love it.
Way better foliage. Almost no gun laws.
Wait, I don't know if Jake was done though.
Way too crunchy. Oh, sorry, Jake.
Anyways, so Vermont to gun control advocates, GTFO again and still.
Great title. Great title. That was like primo.
Did you just throw the snap in there too?
No. It was more of an Italian like connoisseur, like mwah, you know that.
It was like that.
So
yeah, like,
tell us about Vermont, Josh.
Delicious maple syrup, gorgeous trees, very close to getting yourself some poutine when you jump the border.
Boom.
Lots and lots of hippies.
Okay.
Only in Brattleboro, Vermont can you walk down the street butt naked with a bow tie on your wedding tackle and carrying a shotgun. No one bats an eye, but someone will offer you a doobie.
Gentlemen vegetables.
I've seen it, so I mean, people can shake their heads, Jake, and like disapprove all you want. I've seen it. I had to shield my own son's eyes. Are you kidding me? He doesn't need to see some 65-year-old with gray beard, north and south, like actually walking down the street with Rem 870 in multicam. I'm sorry.
I love that Mrs. Whitey just like grossed out right there.
Yeah, she's. watching Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, girl.
Oh God.
So apparently they tried to pass some expanded background checks and make it more illegal for felons to possess guns and whatnot. But which is we see this happening a lot where they try to make everything a little more restrictive, a little bit at a time.
I think what you said there is very funny. You said more illegal.
I know, that was the best. I'm like thinking of a Saturday Night Live sketch revolving around more illegal. That's awesome.
Didn't they go to war with New York once upon a time? I'm not that good at history, but did New York and Vermont have a war, and New York is still where it is because Vermont was middle fingers up in the air? Come on, where's the history buffs? Somebody really?
Tune in next week for Made Up History by Whitey. So,
story time with Jack Handy.
Let's move on to Domino's.
1666.
What was that, Natalie? You became a robot for a second.
I didn't say anything interesting.
So Domino's gun ban update. At least 8 drivers shot, 3 killed since the start of the Domino's gun ban in 2012.
I'd like to see numbers comparing that to previous years.
And other delivery services.
What?
So,
I said,
I'm sorry.
Just all speculation at this point.
Yeah.
But we did talk about, was that Papa John's? What was that? Where that lady delivery driver was pulled out of her car by a felon that was trying to, I don't know, do something to her, and she shot him in the head.
Oh, right.
This is one of those things where, if I was a delivery driver in an area where, I don't know, it doesn't matter, honestly. The area does not matter. I mean, we all agree there. If I was a delivery driver and it was legal to carry a firearm in my state and I was legal to do so, you better believe I'd be doing it no matter what the company said. And this is one of those things where it's your life and you need to protect it. Your company is not there. The police are not there at all times, and you need to protect yourself. How many times have we seen articles where somebody that wasn't supposed to be carrying a gun at his job, her job, stopped something violent from happening and saving a bunch of people's lives, but it was against company policy? How many times?
The hospitals, right? The psychologist.
Perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't want to put your pizza delivery driver in danger, you could just order pizza making supplies from Amazon and contribute to the Firearms Radio Network at the same time. That's right. By shopping Amazon with our affiliate link and clicking through those banners on our website before your next purchase, a small portion of every sale goes back to us. Doesn't cost you any more, but it helps out pro-gun podcasts like This Week in Guns. And you can bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media refuses to talk about, and other crazy stuff. So we'll each take a story or two to banter back and forth about, and I believe John is primed and ready with his probably favorite news of all year.
Yeah, quite possibly the best story besides Colt failing. So Magnum Research, for those of you out there that don't know who I am or what I love about firearms, it's really about the most ridiculous things that you can find that I fully appreciate and just love. I just love big, ridiculous firearms, such as the Desert Eagle. In fact, I own one that is chrome and shoots fire rings. Well, my favorite company, Magnum Research, has done one of the best things that they could possibly do. They took the most glorious handgun ever, a Desert Eagle, and they had it hydro-dipped in cheetah print. This is so not only they have the golden and titanium tiger stripe, but now they've got this beautiful, absolutely super classy cheetah print that lots of people will buy. I mean, I'm not talking about like,
especially if you're a pimp.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're gonna buy a Desert Eagle, I mean,
From
let's
the
be
mouth of
honest.
babes. There you go.
Yeah, so if you're gonna buy a Desert Eagle, let's be real. You're not buying it because it's subtle. So Magnum Research, being who they are, goes, you know what? We're doing this. I bet you somebody bet them they wouldn't, and now they are. I mean, let's be real. This thing looks atrocious,
That's
but
terrible.
it just looks so bad.
I mean, it looks like something David Hasselhoff would use in some pseudo porn from 1984.
Yeah, or a gun that you decorate in Call of Duty. It looks a lot like something like that. I would gladly shoot one. Would I ever spend my hard-earned money on that? No, I'd buy a gold one first.
My dad has a gold one.
They're amazing. I love them. Josh, are you going to go out and buy one of these?
I think you're absolutely ridiculous. I think you're peddling trash on the airwaves. I mean, who wears cheetah? And the last thing I want to say is hashtag selfie. That's really, honestly, all the things that I think. You were even struggling for words for you to believe your own. I'm saying
right.
What I'm talking about is, and if you think about it, no, I'm not. I'm done.
What happened was.
We got all right, guys. Listen, we got like 50,000 more of these things because we thought they'd take off. Then people realized how much 50 caliber costs. So what do? Brilliant idea. Hydro dip it in cheetah.
Next it'll be rhinestones.
Oh, no, and then you put like a little gold lanyard on it. Little gold links, and you market it to the female audience because everyone knows women love shooting Desert Eagle 50 cals.
Actually, that's 100% true.
Unless of course you've actually shot one.
I've handed my personal handgun to a few females, and every single one that has shot that gun loves every second of it.
Okay, I will say I'm pretty darn accurate with it because it's so flippin' heavy,
Right. It's a 5-pound firearm. It's 5 pounds, and it's a handgun.
It hurts. It's a hand cannon. Correction. It hurts to shoot. I mean, I'm glad I got that off my bucket list, but it hurts. I had to go, put it this way, my dad would not let me shoot his. And I had to surreptitiously go to a gun range and rent one. Because he was like, no. Which by the way, I appreciate. Like, part of me is like a little insulted because I'm like, what? You think I can't handle it? I could handle it just fine. But I also kind of appreciate it, given all of the ridiculous viral videos out there of a girl getting hit in the head like that with her boyfriend's Desert Eagle.
It's all about recoil management and teaching somebody how to shoot a gun properly. I think. You're 100% right. There are a lot of guns out there, or a lot of videos of girls out there shooting these things that are very clearly inexperienced with a high recoil handgun.
Right. Yeah.
These things are not little at all.
No. All right. Well, Josh, do you have a story you want to hit on this week?
Put the picture. Oh, God.
With the picture of the target market for this pistol?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to guess which one I did? Because I am so damn excited about this.
Let me see.
Come on, take a guess.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
What?
The viewers need to know. That is Russell Brand.
Oh, jeez.
That is not Russell Brand.
That was not there when I was just in there.
That's not what I can't unsee that.
That's an old image too. So for those of you that don't know, we have the show notes that we go through every week as we progress through the show, and somebody, I don't know who that somebody was, probably Jake Challen, has dropped in the most glorious internet image ever of a guy posing with his Guitar Hero guitars, some ammunition, what looks to be a couple 10-22 mags on his the top half of his bunk bed from when he was a little kid. He's got a balding mullet thing going on, and he appears to be wearing a Speedo.
He's a balding 100+ pound added Russell Brand with like really, really long bad hair. It's like if Russell Brand was made up by like, I don't know, Stan Winston and was in Rock of Ages.
He's like the American Russell Brand.
And with a unibrow. Good Lord.
So good. So anyway,
he's
Josh,
like
what
he's
was your
like
article?
carpet. He's like, seriously.
This photo is kind of the bane of my existence because when I started Gun Guy Radio, this is what would come up when you searched for me.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, when you search for Gun Guy, this guy would always come up.
Oh man, that's not okay. All right, I don't know which one. Which one do you want me to just pick randomly? The
Yes,
Navy's gigantic. Okay.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
That's the one.
I know.
The
I'm good.
Navy's gigantic railgun is almost ready for prime time. So whether you're an old school gun guy or you're a big sci-fi geek, railguns are pretty much the bee's knees. Now, take, I don't know, Thor's hammer and all of its glory, make it of depleted uranium or some other high-dense, was it tungsten carbide, literally like, 65 pounds of just ball. And you're going to sling it at roughly, I don't know, Mach 7. So just to give everyone an idea, Mach 5 is roughly, what did I find that? 340 meters per second. So hold your arms out, if you're a 6 foot tall adult male, that's 2 meters. We're going to go 300 of those in this long. That's it. It just went 300 meters, and it threw Thor's hammer. Not to mention the trajectory alone is flat. You couldn't even do that with a 300 Win Mag. I don't care who you are, and it burns no powder. The only thing it does is it consumes a large amount of energy. So if anyone's ever been on a roller coaster, especially one of the new fancy ones that use magnets, what it does is they basically, like you've seen in Star Trek and Star Wars and all these things, it's a big long rail that has all these like opposite charge magnets that send this projectile slinging down faster than physics like really is just at the brink of breaking. And it just, I literally, if I could throw a sledgehammer 340 meters per second, you are destroying things. The kinetic energy alone is crazy. Not only that, it's a lot more instantaneous than a lot more of the expensive routes, like your Tomahawk missiles, your big missiles that go like out to the atmosphere and back in. Not ICBMs because it's something else, like your Tridents and stuff like that. But this is like sci-fi coming to the new age. Now, here's why I think it's cool, because just like everything else that is firearms related, once the military starts using something, the military will find a way to make it smaller, faster, cheaper, more powerful, and eventually maybe my son will have his first long-range rifle will be, a railgun. Who knows? Maybe his son. Maybe it's that far away where you got to bring a battery pack to the range with you. But railguns are cool, man. Go and do a quick Google or YouTube search on railgun, and you'll see some things, man. I'm excited.
It's all about a more environmentally friendly way to destroy the world.
A greener way to kill the crap out of things.
I mean, this is the coolest thing on Earth.
This is where, like, a battleship could start having achievement unlocked, where it's like drop 2 boats with 1 sledgehammer, like whatever they call that round, where it's just through one hole, out the other, into the next one. That was just like, oh my god, I thought I was safe. No, blub blub blub, down goes Russian Navy. Blub, blub, blub.
I mean, the possibilities that this opens up are just staggering. I mean, to think about this, so there was a company a few years ago that was featured on a show called Future Weapons, and Future Weapons was one of the coolest things ever. You could see these guns that are still not in full production today. Like, what was it, the X11 or the G11? I don't know. There was an HK that had like some crazy caseless ammo and whatever. So there was this thing called Metal Storm. And Metal Storm,
I remember that.
Metal Storm was one of the coolest things ever, and this is in that vein. So Metal Storm had multiple barrels, and it fired off of electrical pulses instead of having a primer. So what they could do is stack rounds in these tubes. And it was the fire rates that they were getting like 1 million rounds a second, or 1 million rounds a minute, I think. And I'm telling you, just and that's it. And it'd be 300-400 rounds. And I'm not even kidding. It was faster than anything out there. And so in that vein, they're now talking about railguns using electromagnets to propel a huge chunk of metal through the surface of the earth and just eradicate people. I mean, this is bigger. When this becomes something that's significant and actually in use, I would argue that this is more significant than nuclear technology in use.
Because
you hear that?
That was it. That was literally like, hold on. That was like all the barrels, ready?
That's a gun. That's a gun. That exists.
And that was like, I got to read the description, but I think that was something like 300 rounds. And they just...
So that's just, we're heading in a different direction. Honestly, the traditional, smokeless powder, primer, that's old technology. What we're using today is ancient technology. And we've talked about this before about innovation in the firearms industry, and the next big change is going to be when we shake slinging lead core bullets and using explosive propellants behind them. When that happens, when we get away from that in some major way, things are going to change, and the firearms industry is going to change. But this is a huge advance. Go ahead, Natalie.
Devil's advocate.
Go. Ready, go.
The more we advance, all right, electromagnetic, this is great. I mean, I was at Los Alamos last weekend, right? Like where they created...
Manhattan Project.
Yeah, man, it was rad. It was so fascinating to see the way that it all happened. But and then I came home and watched like 3 documentaries on it. It was awesome. But anyway, all that to say that, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is archaic technology. However, what happens when the bad guys get EMPs,
Yeah, and that's a really reasonable concern.
So I'm just saying, like, that those guns on the USS, Missouri are still gonna. I mean, they're gonna be viable still. Sure. I don't know. I think yes, this is a great technology. I agree. Like all the destruction that happened with the nuclear bombs. I mean, it's just absolutely like it's awful. It's inhumane, really. I mean, we needed to do it. It was an important thing that happened, and we saved a lot of lives that way. I have no qualms about that, but now that we've moved on beyond that, you're right. This is an amazing alternative, and probably has the equivalent or more power than the nuclear bombs that we dropped. But if we've got an enemy who understands EMPs, then it renders it useless.
I have a devil's advocate to your devil's advocate. If they use EMPs on current technology, I'm pretty sure that there's so much electronics in our current aiming systems that it would be the same effect. I don't know that answer. I don't know what's inside of naval gunships. I am undereducated on that. However, if anybody wants to take all of us out there on a naval ship and show us how the guns work, that would be amazing. But honestly, I don't know if there's a way to manually control those guns.
Well, I don't either, but I do wonder too how effective those EMP bombs are when it comes to I mean, how thick can they penetrate cement that is 10 feet thick? I don't know. Does anybody? Oh, they can.
Yes, they can. So EMPs, to have the most effect, need to be higher in the atmosphere. Think about it like a cell tower's reception. It's literally just going to umbrella an area. And the higher up in the atmosphere you do it, the more it can spread out further. What makes things worse is that it travels faster along electric lines than any surge protector could possibly even hope to catch. So EMPs actually move, the pulse that it sends moves faster than electricity itself. So shutting things down. Now what has to happen is you have to have shielding. So if anybody watches Mythbusters, for instance, they do this really great demonstration with cell phone stuff where they do what's called a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage uses gold or, I believe,
oh my God, you are such a nerd, man.
I know. So brass netting or mesh, kind of like your screen door. It's brass and you full frame, and then you have to ground it. and it has to be fully enclosed. That is the only way you can that civilians, as far as I know, can protect against an EMP. So a lot of preppers will have a Faraday cage with their walkie-talkies or electronics that need to be in there, things like that, protected. So that way, when the whole world ends, they'll have at least their own electronics that work with their own electronics. Now, the military does use certain things, and they prepare for, as far as I know, from declassified or whatever, top-down protection. What that means is that, like your Humvee, for instance, any Humvees that are EMP-proof will actually, like the roof and the frame and the hood will have protection, but the undercarriage will not, the sides will not, because the highest probability of an EMP strike will be from upper atmosphere, so therefore it's just showering down and bouncing off. So as long as everything's killed, nuke just went off upper atmosphere, kill everything, shut it down, wait for everything else to fall out of the sky, turn everything back on, and you're good to rock and roll. EMPs are really like a legitimate threat, and anyone who's looking for a good read, especially on Amazon, because I think that's where I got my book, was 1 Second After, and that is kind of what happens as soon as it's a really listen. If you're going to spend a lot of money on Wise hydration snacks and ammo and prepper stuff, read that book. You will go on a buying spree like tomorrow. But that really goes over in depth. Including a foreword by the man killer himself, Dick Cheney, and a couple other people that really kind of put out the actual science behind it, as well as how this was literally proposed to Congress just right there with cybersecurity as a major threat, and they were prepared to act on it after seeing a lot of the results from tests and papers and documentation, and then the next day after this was presented, 9/11 happened. So it got swept under the rug, like, we can't deal with this now. So as far as I know, we are still very much at risk for things like EMP. All you need is one renegade Russian decommissioned nuke to, I think the way this story went was, one of the theories was it was fired off of a frigate, like a fishing frigate, off of the coast of California from, like, the Philippines, and just detonated upper atmosphere, and then, so it's totally like one of those things where it's like, crap, this is like possible. I need to go buy more dried food, like, I guess, and beans and all the lentils.
Excellent choice, Whitey.
Yeah, and you can also get dried food on it.
Science!
Do you need to make that plug again, Jake?
No, I plugged enough. Natalie, what do you have for us this evening?
Well, okay, the one that got me the most fired up was, as an endowment, lifetime endowment member of the NRA, and also someone who has, kind of spent a lot of time endorsing them, this NRA board member paddling a child may keep me from having to put a bullet in him later. I personally have worked really, really hard to improve our image in general, and I think with one fell swoop he might have just canceled all that out. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. I don't even believe in sensitivity training, and I think this guy should go. Like, it's just this really this one bothered me. This isn't half as interesting as Whitey's. He should have gone last. But this was the one that bothered me, and I just thought it was really, I mean, and I get it, I'm from Texas, I understand how people speak colloquially and all of that, but this is just not okay, man, especially when you're in a position like that. So, I don't know, that one bothered me. Anybody else?
I think the logic there isn't flawed. I mean, let me explain. Please. The logic I will explain. The logic he's using is that discipline, if you discipline a child now, that will affect their behavior later in life. What he's saying is simply that if you properly raise a child, you will potentially prevent him from being a criminal later in life. And now, he could have said it like an educated human being, but I can't.
Like Whitey says things is the problem.
Come on, not to make an outlandish statement like that where people would actually take you seriously.
And I'm cutting John off on purpose, because for you to sit there and say, What I think he means is like every time somebody defends Obama, we have words that come together to make sentences make paragraphs a whole story. And what did you do here? You just tried to explain the meaning or feeling behind those words. So that is a quote, and that's what he said. So don't even try it. How dare you, sir?
It was like legal. It was like legal interpretation.
Oh yeah, I think maybe what he was trying to say was he said it. Like that's it. That's why it's a quote. That's why it's a soundbite. Send it.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me.
It shouldn't. Like I'm not gonna lose a pound of sleep tonight because this guy said, "Paddling a child may keep me from having to put a bullet in him later. You, sir, should be gone. Go find something else to do. It's not even like timeout time. It's you. You're in the wrong industry because there should be no tolerance for this." I literally just had a conversation with my wife the other night about spanking versus timeouts, and it's like when this kind of connection is being drawn. No, I understand what John is saying. He's absolutely right. I was raised on spankings, and because of that, hopefully, part of that, I'm a responsible human being as an adult. Do I disagree with spanking? No.
And he's also not talking about parental spanking. He's talking about corporal punishment in school.
Oh, right? No, okay, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Did you not read the required assignment, John? Is that what you're saying right now?
No, that's what. No.
Are we backpedaling now? Is that what's happening?
To be fair,
we're not backpedaling. We're not backpedaling. I did not know that was part of the story. That's all.
That's all right. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. And I remember growing up, going to high school in Texas. You had to sign. There was a waiver that if your parents gave the school permission to give you, give you corporal punishment if you acted out and deserved it. It was like a 3-strike thing or something. I mean, I remember a couple kids who actually, whose parents did sign it. And they were given permission. But anyway,
und spankings.
I don't know that I have a problem with the policy, but I mean, I don't know that it's all that effective either. It just creates resentment for school administrators. It has to be done by a parent who actually, impacts the child's life long term, in my opinion. But that aside, the guy is an idiot.
Wait, I could outsource spankings? I never thought of that.
You're so American.
Hey, it's one of those jobs American parents just won't do.
Obama's got a solution for that.
Yeah, I'm sure he does, and someone's going to pay for it.
So my pick this week is the Covered 6 Savior PDS. Yeah, weird name, but it's a training and security company that makes a portable armor shield. It's a shield that it looks like a laptop bag, basically.
Oh my gosh. All of us are clicking on it at the same time, and I'm pretty sure it broke the page.
Yeah, it was awful. That was really bad.
Yeah, that finally came through.
Come on, Firearm Blog. You need to upgrade your servers. So when folded, it looks like a laptop bag or something. But when I guess you're in a defensive situation, you can kind of like pull some Velcro straps, and it goes, and it becomes this like full-length shield that you can hold in front of you in a gunfight.
Deployable soft armor. Brilliant.
That's cool.
Well, the funny thing is I worked on a project with somebody called Elsa, and it's similar. It's a laptop bag, but it unzips in like 3 seconds into full Molly paneled front and rear armor. That's really interesting to me because that's, I think, soft armor. So I mean, it's like it could go this way, it could go that way, yada yada. There's a lot of people. I think even Ares Armor did something called the what was that called? It was a backpack. All you did was like you reach back here and then pulled up, and boom, you had like front soft armor ready to rock and roll. There's a lot. I think the need for this is outweighing the want for this, and it's kind of scary, to be perfectly honest. That it's like I don't want to know that my kid has at his school bulletproof blankets.
I do.
I don't want to know that. I want to think my kid is safe. Like, nothing could happen there. The feels, so to speak. Would I be happy that they're there? Absolutely. Especially if I had to maintain a bruise or a broken leg or something from him being saved by one. That's like a parent's worst nightmare. But the fact that products are starting to roll out more frequently, that looks like this is actually a bulletproof fill in the blank here, that really is kind of a sign of something, no?
I think it's a sign of the world changing, and it's also a sign of our industry growing.
Yeah.
We have a lot of really, really talented people in our industry that are thinking outside the box, and they're thinking of different ways to protect themselves, because a lot of them are in the line of duty, and thusly protect a lot of other people. So we're seeing a lot of innovation, a lot of really unique ways of applying kind of industry standards to new thought processes and new products, and I think it's really, really cool. I understand what you're saying, Josh, that like this could be a sign of the times being awful, and it probably is, but it's also really, really cool.
So I'm gonna EMP proof the studio here, get my bulletproof laptop bag, and what else? What other paranoia tips did we learn this week?
Did we learn anything about tinfoil hats?
We did not. That's a different show.
Yeah.
Jake, when are you going to start the Prepper podcast?
I don't know. I've always thought that doing a like common sense or like the real man's prepper podcast, where it's not like the crazy stuff, but like everyday man type stuff, everyday family type stuff would be cool. So maybe someday down the road.
I don't know though, because it's almost like just go to the store and keep some food in your house. End show.
I would love.
Everybody has had like 10 seasons of like prepper wars or something. Oh, you can make a show out of that.
Well, yeah, or you could go to the opposite spectrum where you just go crazier than crazy and talk about drinking your own urine and everything.
Bear Grylls podcast?
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Well, if you enjoy this show and you maybe want to see some more shows created on the Firearms Radio Network, you can check out our Firearms Radio Network Patreon page. That's patreon.com/FRN. Easy way for you to crowdfund the network as a whole. And also, This Week in Guns. If you like this show, if you tune in every week, if you love listening to not only myself, but John, Natalie, Josh, Peter, Ebbs, anyone else that comes on the show, go over to patreon.com/week and pledge your support, because we have some great companies that have pitched in to allow me to send out random battle boxes full of swag and gift cards every few months. So if you're a patron, it's quite likely sometime you may get a random battle box full of things like MS Clean kits, Duluth Trading Company $50 gift cards, GunGoddess.com $25 gift cards, and Duke Cannon soap, big-ass bricks of soap, and a military field gift set, 5 of those. It's all because of you guys supporting us through Patreon, patreon.com/week. Well, that brings us near the end of the show, so Natalie, what is up with you and Girls Guide to Guns? Did you just launch something new?
Yeah, we just launched a Girls Guide to Hunting. So obviously the female, well, as we saw at SHOT Show, according to the surveys that the NSSF has done, we've had a lot of growth for, of course, women in the firearms industry, but also in the hunting industry and hunting field, no pun intended. And it's really exciting. It's a good thing, you know. So we are, so we're expanding to cater to that crowd. And I had planned on doing that about 2 years ago, and finally getting on top of it. So yeah, come join us over at the Girls Guide to Hunting Facebook page.
You don't run the Girls Guide to Butter page, do you?
No. Oh, no. Yeah, that lady has been trying to steal my stuff for years. Yes, no, it's not mine. Girls Guide to Guns and Butter, which doesn't make any sense at all. But, you know, unless you're baking with, I just don't get it. Anyway.
Wait, that's a real thing?
It is. It's a real thing.
I'm not going to go looking.
Guns and butter?
Guys, it's not that exciting, and I think she probably abandoned the page by now. So.
But somebody thought at one point in their life that was a good idea.
They did.
But you know what? I've got a fantastic idea. People love guns and they love butter.
Girlsguidetobutter.com.
I don't get it. Yeah, Girl's Guide to Butter. Yes.
Oh, see, I thought you were combined. Oh, I get it. All right. I thought it was gun. I thought it was actually Girl's Guide to Guns and Butter.
No, it is, but she couldn't get Girl's Guide to Guns, so she went with Girl's Guide to Butter.
Looks like she hasn't posted since October of 2013. So.
Yeah, there you go. So it's dead.
You've dashed her hopes.
Sorry, man.
My name is Sofia. I was born in the Soviet Union, but now live in Farm in Wisconsin.
Yep.
All right.
So you could probably wave to her from your house, Jake.
Yeah, I probably could, because Wisconsin is just right there.
What is this, Alaska and Russia?
Exactly. Yes, that was the whole point. I'm so glad you got it. I've been watching way too much Tina Fey lately.
Oh God! Oh God!
She's in the movie that my husband is working on here, so we're like binge watching 30 Rock.
Great show.
It's a great show.
Solid. I like it.
She's hilarious.
All right, Josh, Four Guys Guns, what is up?
Four Guys Guns is doing the Four Guys Guns thing. I mean, if you follow this show, then you don't need me ripping off that Four Guys Guns is on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, at Four Guys Guns, all that fun stuff. We are doing some really cool stuff, though. So stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow at Four Guys Guns. That's spelled out FOURGUYSGUNS. And see you soon, San Diego. No,
may I interject?
Please, Natalie, interject.
Okay, if there are any chicks listening, and dudes too, listening who need a last-minute Valentine's Day gift, I have just recently acquired my membership to Four Guys Guns, and it is awesome. I am so impressed with the quality. These guys are nailing it, and that's big high five and applause.
Oh, you're talking about members.
Yes, the membership, exactly. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Seriously, a great Valentine's Day gift is a Four Guys Guns membership, because you learn so much and the quality of the videos is great. What they do is awesome. I highly recommend it.
We had a bunch of people actually do that for Christmas as well, and we keep adding more videos every month, so hopefully that's actually a great idea, and I'll make sure we post it up on the Facebook page too.
Well, I'm kind of a genius.
You kind of are.
Very cool. John, I'm with Cash YouTube channel. What's new?
So Saturday, I have a Valentine's Day special coming out. For those of you at home that didn't get a chance to see my Christmas special, you need to go watch it now, because I wore an elf outfit that was entirely too tight, and it was hilarious. It was really good. I'm all about self-deprecation, and did something similar with Valentine's Day. It was a lot of fun. We were out there shooting. It was snowing this morning, and that was cool. And I've got a whole bunch of reviews coming out, a bunch of I just got, wow, so weird. Girls, Guys, to Guns and Butter. It just popped up. I got an email alert. That's so weird. Thanks for that, Whitey. So a whole bunch of shotgun ammo stuff coming up, and yeah, it's just going to be awesome. So keep tuned to the I'm with Chaos YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/chaos311clarity. You can find me all over the internets. You just punch in chaos and then the number 311, and you'll find me. I promise. There'll be my face. It'll be beautiful.
It is beautiful, Chaos.
It is a handsome punim.
Thank you. Thank you.
So for those that want to know, I just basically plugged in Chaos's email address to follow Girl's Guide to Butter.
Oh my gosh. We're going to get like a libel cease and desist letter soon.
Again.
But think about Anya, or whatever her name is, and she's like, oh my God, somebody wants to read my stuff.
Confirm your subscription to Girl's Guide to Guns and Butter.
You're being online bullies. This is not nice.
This is the
thing. How are we being bullies? I just gave her a subscriber and an email address.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, but that's like it's almost like, when what's her name gets the pig blood thrown down on her. I mean, that's just mean.
Is that like PCU? Oh, come on, that was way more than 100 pounds. No? Nobody gets a Jeremy Piven joke?
I'm still stuck on Natalie saying
Yeah.
that.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, seriously?
Is like dumping pig's blood on somebody at the prom.
But you're not really giving her. You're not really making her prom queen. You're just giving her fake people that are making fun of her.
Maybe she got deported. Who knows? Like, I don't know.
That's valid.
Well, that about wraps it up. If you are listening, Miss Girl's Guide to Guns and Butter, please email us.
No, don't.
At Natalie at Girl's Guide to Guns.
Oh wow, really? I'm pretty sure she already knows who I am. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you can leave your feedback, hate mail, whatever.
I'm gonna get a mean Russian written letter because of you guys.
I have a Russian assassin I can send.
Yeah, you do. Oh, Mrs. Whitey, she can clean up for me.
All right, you can comment on the bottom of thisweekinguns.com/104. Don't forget to download and listen on iTunes. Contribute to the show by shopping our Brownells affiliate or Amazon affiliate links. Just go to thisweekinguns.com and look for those. And that about wraps us up for this week. So
I just want to say one thing. I think Natalie is looking at this entirely. Maybe this was the push that she needed to get back into blogging. Maybe she just needed somebody out there to say, I'm listening.
You just got all sensitive and felt bad about it. Your paternal side's kicking in. That's what's happening.
As I'm waving around a Glock 17.
That's very paternal. It's very paternal.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Josh, for coming on.
Hey. Big teddy bear. That's all I am, man.
Thank you, Natalie.
I'm a big fairy. I don't know.
And thank you, John.
Hey, Jake, it's been a pleasure. I can speak for the other heathens when I say thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
It'll
Pleasure
be,
being here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
I knew it was coming. I had to give him time. I had to give him time.
And that's a wrap, and we'll see you next week.